Hey everyone, the new state-of-the-art open source image generator has dropped, right after the release of ChatGPT's incredible new model, Midjourney 7 and Reve, the new entrant. So how does the new model, HiDReam, stand up to all of these closed source models, but also the incumbent open source king, Flux? Today, we're going to compare HiDReam to these models, as well as go over the different ways that you can start using the model right now. Now, it's still early days for the model's release, and getting the model to run on your own system is not the easiest thing. There also isn't any control net, image to image, or any fine-tuning capabilities, but I do believe it's coming, especially since I've heard people say that the model seems to be very malleable and potentially could be very easy to do things with. So hopefully the community will be able to work together and bring out some of these cool features. So today we're going to compare how the new model performs against the other popular image generation models, and then we'll go over the different ways to use it and install it on your different systems. If you're only interested in a specific part of the video, check the chapters down below to get to the part that you're most interested in. And with that, let's have a look at what this new model can do. For today, I've chosen a series of prompts from the PromptCrafter's database. This is a database that I use all the time to help me come up with ideas for generating images. The database is a visual catalog of prompts with all of the results visible here, as you can see, with the associated prompt linked to it. What's really cool about it is when you open up a particular image, you can not only see the prompt, but also see the art style, any descriptors that were used, enhancers. You can then go in and grab any of these items like art style and see other prompts that use the same keywords. In this case, in art style, we can see a bunch of prompts here and all of the images that were created using that art style. It's really great if you're trying to figure out a particular descriptor for an image, or you just want a fantastic catalog of artists that you can refer to when coming up with prompts. If you're interested in checking out PromptCrafters, I'll put the link down in the description below. I'll also be testing out those prompts on my own platform, my own image generation platform, KaijuGen. I've already added in HiDReam. You can see here we've got the full, fast, and dev models, as well as Flux, Imogen, and a bunch of other image and video generation models all in one place. So in addition to HiDReam, we'll be comparing prompts with Flux, Imogen, Midjourney's new version 7 model, ChatGPT's image generator, as well as the new Reve AI image model. I've picked out a handful of prompts, and I'm not going to get too deep into it. If you do want me to do a dedicated image model comparison video, please do let me know down in the description below, as just in the process of making this video, Colors 2.0 has also released. So if you want to see a deep dive into comparing a bunch of different prompts against all of these models, different art styles, different artist reference, compositions, text generation, and so on, please do let me know if that's something you'd like to see. So getting started with the first prompt, we've got here a cute pink rabbit wearing glasses, blowing bubblegum, bright colors, pink and blue background with hyper-realistic illustration. So we've got here the three HiDReam versions. Let's start with the full model, as this is the biggest and should theoretically be the best model. And pretty good start overall. It definitely has a hyper-realistic illustration vibe to it. The background is blue and pink, and all of the elements are there. We've got the glasses, blue and pink background, the bubblegum, and overall it's an aesthetically pleasing image. So nothing to complain about there. Dev also did pretty well. Again, the background is blue and pink. We've got this gradient over here. We've got these bubbles which have kind of come out of nowhere. So that's something that the model has decided to do. Besides that, it looks still pretty good, aesthetically pleasing. I did like that in the full one, the bunny was looking straight at us rather than at this slight angle, but it's still a very good image. And again, we've kind of got that illustration vibe coming through. Fast is the equivalent to Schnell. And this one, we can start to see a couple of things happening a little bit strangely. The bubblegum here doesn't quite look as natural as in the other images. However, everything else seems to be fine. We've got the glasses, we've got the blue and pink background. In this particular case, the bunny is standing on the floor. And then we've got this, what I think is supposed to be bubblegum, but it's actually a marble here on the floor. Okay, let's have a look at Imogen. I accidentally generated it twice here, so we'll have a look at both. But again, pretty good result overall. Like previously, I like the fact that the bunny is looking straight at the camera, blue to pink background, reading glasses, bubblegum, nothing to complain about here. The second iteration, same thing, it gave us, I will note, however, Imogen did not make the image have a hyper-realistic illustration. It is hyper-realistic, but it's a doll. It doesn't look like it's an illustration. So a big failure there on Imogen. And it's the same thing on the second variant. This looks like a 3D render or a stuffed toy rather than a hyper-realistic illustration. However, being a hyper-realistic bunny, it did do a pretty good job, but fell slightly short on prompt adherence over there. Flux did a little bit better. It's kind of in between HiDReam and Imogen because it does kind of have that illustration look, but more than anything, it looks like it's a photograph that's been passed through an illustration filter rather than actually a hyper-realistic illustration. Particularly where you see the bunny kind of zooming out here, the shadow here, it's kind of a meld of in between. And Flux Dev, again, looks like a 3D render rather than a hyper-realistic illustration. So that particular part of the prompt is something that a lot of the models have struggled with, but not HiDReam. Now, let's have a look at Midjourney. So Midjourney suffers from the same issue as Imogen, where it's done a hyper-realistic bunny, but it missed out on the illustration component. It also didn't get the background right. In none of the images, except maybe this one, the background is blue and pink. So failure on prompt adherence over there. And ChatGPT actually did a bang-up stellar job. It's an illustration, hyper-realistic, blue to pink background, and the bunny has the reading glasses and is blowing bubblegum. In this one, it's a little awkward here, but I can still see the bubblegum kind of coming out of the mouth. And over here, the way that I like it, looking straight at the camera, so you can't really see the awkwardness in the mouth. And the eyes just look absolutely incredible. I'm still continuously blown away by this model. But it's really worth noting that the only competitor so far to the new open source HiDReam model has been ChatGPT. And Reve suffers from the same issue as Midjourney and Imogen, almost. This one does kind of have an illustrated look to it while retaining that hyper-realism. And this one, you can actually see the bunny's mouth through the bubblegum. That's a nice real touch there. And in all of these, we've got the blue to pink image. So I'd have to say HiDReam and ChatGPT won this round, with Reve coming in a close second. Let's have a look at this next prompt. I did find this one online. I thought it was really cool and worth testing out. A small glass capsule filled with a bunch of emojis with a little white heart held between someone's fingers. The small spheres completely fill the capsule and are all bright. Product advertising photo, a white inscription on the glass of the capsule reads emotion. Another even smaller inscription reads, how do you want to feel today? So that's a pretty complex prompt, a lot of elements going on there, and we've got the added component of throwing in some emojis. So let's see how the models performed. This time, let's start with HiDReam Fast, which is the worst of the three models. And a decent start overall, definitely missing a few points there. Let's highlight first the positives. It got all of the emojis in there. We got a whole bunch of emojis in a glass capsule. It's a photograph, and that's about where the things stop. We have absolutely no text on this image, so it missed out on the inscription. There's also supposed to be a little white heart held between someone's fingers, so that's also missing, no hand there. And although it's a photograph, I don't know if this would constitute as product photography. So did a decent job, but not quite all the way there. Same thing with Dev. Dev did a little bit better. This looks a little bit more like a product shot, but same thing. It stops at putting the emojis in the capsule. I will note that the emojis here do look a little bit better than the ones in Fast. In Fast, we've got a couple here who are kind of having a couple of weird expressions, but still very good. The key difference here is Fast put faces on all the capsules, all the pellets in the capsule, whereas Dev did not. And same thing as well with HiDReam Full. We've got all of the capsules in there. We've got all of the pellets in there in a glass capsule. No text anywhere, no hand anywhere. So great image aesthetic, half decent prompt following. Admittedly, it did follow through on what I think was the most challenging part of the prompt, which was putting in those emojis, but we didn't get the text. Having a look at Flux Dev and Flux Schnell, they performed even worse. We have absolutely no emojis in the pellets. We do have the text, however. We've got the emotion there and the white heart, and the capsule is being held in a hand. So it did follow the prompt half decently in a slightly different way. However, looking at the aesthetics, as we know with Flux, we run into a lot of issues with hands. And if you start to look closely at the image, there is definitely some weirdness happening here. Imogen did slightly better. It's got a product photography vibe. We've got a hand in here holding the capsule. We've got all of the text, emotion, how do you feel today, and the white heart. The only thing that it was not able to do was put the emojis in the pellets itself. So I'd say this performs slightly better than HiDReam, considering the fact that we got the text in there, but not the emoji faces. Midjourney struggled similarly to HiDReam. We have all of these product image style photos with pellets in the capsules. The pellets all have emoji faces, but they look like toys. HiDReam made it look a little bit more like actual pellets, whereas here they're a little too cutesy. None of them have any text, so there's a failure on that as well. Now, the one that blew it out of the park has to be ChatGPT. Absolutely phenomenal. Once again, we've got that super clear text. The subtitle is almost perfect. How do you want tea feel today? We've got the white heart, and we've got the capsule being held by hand. So 90% prompt adherence over here. I think ChatGPT is going to walk away with the winner for this one. Let's have a look at Reve before we move on. Okay, Reve seems to be in a hot second position, as we've got the capsule, we've got the pellets inside with emojis, we've got all the text, emotion, how do you want to feel today, and the white heart. This one's still pretty good. We've got the emojis in the capsule, although they look like candy or toys. This is the only one that has the white heart being held by two fingers. I've been letting that one go because I haven't seen any single one do it, but actually the prompt says that the white heart should be held by two fingers. So this technically got it. And then once again, this product looking photo. We've got all the text there. Emotion, do you want to feel today? It's not on the capsule as we would have preferred, but it's there and it's legible. And of course, we've got the emojis in the capsule. So for this particular prompt, it looks like ChatGPT and Reve are going to take the crown. All right, the next one. This one was a fun one. This is a prompt that is available on the PromptCrafter's database, and it's a new section that is being put together for ChatGPT presets, where you can set up a bunch of presets that create a particular image style, and then you just type in to the prompt what you want to be applied to that preset, and you get it. So I adapted that particular preset into a unique prompt for us to test out on all the image models. So let's have a look at the prompt. So this one is Homelander TCG photorealistic close-up of rare holographic TCG style trading card held at a slight angle. Only part of the thumb is visible. Title is the character's name, which is my mistake, but we'll see that it did a pretty good job with it. A psychic style icon. The card shows a semi-realistic description of the character in an iconic suit, illustrated in TCG card style, holofoil surface, shimmers in rainbow and gold. Background is warm, cinematic, softly blurred, slight analog film grain. Card includes fitting TCG style text layout abilities and stats themed around the character's description. So having a look at the HiDReam Full, it did a decent job overall. This character definitely looks inspired by Homelander, not quite on the nose as the uniform doesn't quite add up. It did put character's name up here in very legible text, so it does a really good job at text generation. It should have said Homelander, but I put here title character name, so we'll give it that one. However, in areas where we haven't specified text, it does struggle. We don't have a psychic style icon up here, and the rest of the text descriptions down here are not legible. So unfortunately, if you don't specify the text, it doesn't work out. HiDReam Dev did slightly better and slightly worse at the same time. Again, the character's blonde, which is definitely reminiscent of Homelander. However, the outfit is definitely not Homelander. We do have character's name down here, and it did actually put psychic type, which Full did not. However, from here on, everything starts to delve into gibberish, where we've got here all of this as gibberish, the character's name up here is gibberish, and we still don't have a psychic style icon. And then HiDReam Fast probably did the best job of them all. This looks like the closest one to Homelander. So the illustration looks absolutely great. However, like the rest of them, the rest of the card devolves into gibberish unless it's something that you've specified. Even character name is a little weak here as it's characterer name, right? We've got down here name, some weirdness, psychic type, and then the rest of it is some weirdness that almost looks like Russian. So pretty good, but not all the way there. I'd say maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10. Flux Dev, of course, expectedly struggled a lot here. Aesthetically, this looks like the least pleasing image. The character absolutely does not look like Homelander, which is understandable, but also not, because that TV show's been out for a long time. Definitely from before I would have expected this model to have been trained. And then, of course, none of the text is legible. We don't even have character name written anywhere. However, I will say this does look the closest like a Wizards of the Coast TCG card. It almost looks like a Pokemon card, considering the fact that we mentioned Psychic type, and we've got a icon up here on the right that could get away with it, but the rest of the text is all gibberish. Now, Imogen's one is very interesting. The image looks good. It definitely looks like a different type of trading card game that I've seen out there. We've got actually Homelander as the character's name, even if it's spelled wrong, so you lose points over there. Again, Psychic type is there, but spelled wrongly, and the rest of the text is gibberish, and that character absolutely does not look like Homelander. Looking at Midjourney, we have a lot more of the same. In fact, I would say that Midjourney has performed the worst, as all of these TCG cards look absolutely horrible, with only this one being held by the thumb and forefinger. The only thing that I would say that makes these somewhat acceptable is the uniforms look a little more like Homelander's uniforms, and we've got two blonde characters here, but in these two generations, the character is a woman, and absolutely no legible text on any of them. So, Midjourney version 7, not really hitting the mark so far. Likewise, Reve, absolutely missing the mark. We've got some legible text, but the characters are absolutely horrendous, as is the rest of the card. So, absolutely nothing usable here. And of course, you probably have guessed by now, ChatGPT just blew it out of the park. We have a very accurate Homelander, incredibly well-designed trading cards, complete with moves, attacks. The text is almost all legible, and in areas that we haven't specified, it's gone in and filled in the appropriate text. And this is where ChatGPT's model really blows it out of the park. If you have text that you haven't specified, more than half the time it will go in and actually just give you legible text. Having said that, however, as we know, ChatGPT is a closed source model and it comes with a lot of its own limitations. I was honestly personally surprised that it let me run this prompt without telling me about copyright issues. The second place, however, is taken by HiDReam. So here's HiDReam proving itself to be a very competent second place model to the ChatGPT image generator. Now, we're just going to look at one more prompt before we move on to how you can get started using HiDReam. And this is a art style anime prompt. So in this particular case, we are referencing an anime art style and a specific artist to see if we can get the model to follow through on that art style. So the prompt is 4K detailed Makoto Shinkai style, cute woman smiling, listening to music, sitting in a cozy cafe outdoors with green plants. So that we're on the same page, let's have a look at some of the Makoto Shinkai art style, and we can see here from Your Name that the art style is very vibrant colors, beautiful lines, and this kind of anime style. So let's see if the models followed through with it. Well, off the bat, I'd say HiDReam Full did a pretty good job. It definitely has a lot of those colors and vibes of Makoto Shinkai. What's really cool and worth noting here is this particular character has her hands here on the side of her face, and I can't see much distortion. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than everything we've seen so far. It's also worth noting that something that drives me nuts with Flux, when you've got a cup of coffee on the scene, it always has too many cups and always has too many hands trying to do stuff with it. So HiDReam has done a really good job of composing this image in a very natural looking way. Same thing with HiDReam Dev. I wouldn't say it's perfectly Makoto Shinkai, but it's very close. It's giving me those kind of vibes. And again, very natural looking picking up of the coffee cup. Hands look perfectly natural. The only weird thing here is that these headphones seem to be connected to nothing. And then HiDReam Fast also did a great job. Considering it's the weakest model, I was wondering if we'd have issues with hands. But again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 digits. All in the right place. We've got the coffee cup down here. The only strangeness is that she's wearing 2 sets of headphones. So far, HiDReam Dev and HiDReam Full seem to be very strong performers, and we start to run into issues with the fast model. Flux Dev, I don't know what to say. Absolutely lost the plot with this art style. Definitely not Makoto Shinkai. It's definitely anime style, but that's about it. We specified a cute woman, whereas it's given us a cute girl. And sitting in a cozy cafe, I mean, technically, I don't know what she'd be doing with a guitar and whatever this drink is. So, again, this is what happens with Flux Dev, is you kind of lose the plot a little bit, showing Imogen 3, also very good with this anime style. I don't know if I'd consider it Makoto Shinkai, particularly with the face style here, but it's still very good. We've got those nice colors, those nice lines, very natural looking, and like HiDReam, I don't really see very many issues here. Hands look good, body looks good, nothing weird in how she's sitting, and just a generally natural looking image. Jumping over to Midjourney. Oh, well, this is somewhere that Midjourney absolutely excels at. All of these look absolutely stunning. Definitely a level above everything else that we've seen. Composition, I do have a few things I want to bring up, but at least from a visual art style perspective, these blow it out of the park. Do they match up with Makoto Shinkai though? I am not completely sure. If we look at the faces and the art style there, I think some of these could probably get away with it, but not all of them. Now, looking at the composition of the images, here we do see a little bit of weirdness with the hands, so losing a couple of points there. And I don't know what's happening with this guy in the background. This image, I have nothing to complain about. Looks like an absolute winner. Same thing here. She just looks like she's enjoying the music very thoroughly. And this one, I don't know why she's squatting next to the table listening to music. So a little bit of weirdness there overall. But so far, this has been the first prompt that Midjourney has shown something passably good when compared to the other models. Unfortunately, this is what I was referring to, ChatGPT was not able to give us an image, as referencing an artist like Makoto Shinkai violates their policy. So that's very unfortunate. And same thing with Reve, absolutely missed the plot. These are all very good images, but none of them are in an anime style, let alone Makoto Shinkai. But composition-wise, they're all good. We've got the character sitting here, cup of coffee, very natural looking, no weirdness except for this headphone going through her shirt. Same thing here, an actual natural looking coffee scene, something that Flux definitely is not able to do on a consistent basis. Same thing. This could be a stock image, and I wouldn't think twice about it. Likewise over here. So that is the HiDReam performance on a variety of different prompts. Overall, I definitely think it's a step up above Flux, and it'll be very exciting to see when additional capabilities for this model comes up. In many cases, it's only been beaten by ChatGPT, putting it at par with, at the very least, Imogen, and in some cases, Reve. And even on the topic of text generation, when you're able to specify the text, it does a really good job of generating it. And if you could work with an LLM to fully flesh out an image like this one, for example, and we'll try it out later. If you want to see what that result looks like, please do come by our Discord and check it out. I'll put it up there in Show Your Work, as well as on my Instagram, of what happens when we give it an entire block of text for it to render. So, if you want to use HiDReam, what are the best ways to do it? Well, unfortunately, this is a fairly big model, and running the full versions of these models is going to be very difficult, if not impossible, on consumer-grade GPUs, with a few caveats. The easiest way, of course, is to come on over to KaijuGen. As you've seen, we've got all the models over here. You can play around with it. It's a pay-as-you-go platform, and using it supports the channel. You can test it out with a whole bunch of models, and what's really cool about it is once you've created the images that you want, you can then feed them into whatever video model that you want, including Kling 1.6, and turn them into video animations. However, if you want to run it on your own hardware, there's a couple of options. My personal favorite alternative is running it on RunPod. The HiDReam creators have released a Gradio user interface, which you can set up here. However, I've not been able to get it to run on anything less than an H100. So if we come over here and set your VRAM to 60, and we look for the cheapest single GPU option, you're looking at probably this H100 PCIe. Or you could use this A100 SMX, or the PCIe with 80. I've not been able to get it to run on anything that runs on multiple GPUs. It just doesn't see the VRAM. So you'll be looking to spend about $1.64 an hour once you have set this up and are running it. That means that you're also paying for time where you're typing in the prompt and whatnot. So keep that in mind. If you do want to use RunPod, I'll walk you through the installation right now. I am working on putting together a dedicated template, which I will link down in the description once it's done. But if you don't see it down in the description, I either was not able to do it or it's not finished yet. So follow along to see how to install it manually. I'll also show you guys how to install it on Comfy UI on a quantized version of the model. That means that it's a version of the model that was trimmed down to fit into consumer GPUs. So that's the caveat. The issue is that if I'm needing a GPU that is over 64 gigabytes of VRAM to run these models, quantizing it down to 12 or even 24 gigabytes means that you're losing a lot of data and a lot of quality in the model. And I've seen a lot of people complain online saying that this model is not great, it's not as good as Flux, or it's on par with Flux, and part of that is probably because they're using a quantized version of the model. So do keep that in mind, that if you use the quantized versions, you are going to get mixed results, and you may not find it as impressive as what we've discussed over here. For best results, try and use the full model. So let's start with running the full version of the model on RunPod. Then we'll jump into Comfy UI, and the Comfy UI version will work with the quantized models, which means you can theoretically run it on as little as 12 gigabytes of VRAM. Okay, so once you've come into RunPod, you're gonna click over here on Pods, Deploy, bring the filter up to about 60 gigabytes. And if you're looking for the most economic option, come here to Previous Gen and grab the cheapest single GPU available. In this case, we've got here the A100 PCIe. Make sure that the template that you choose, click over here, choose template, is the one that says CUDA 12.4.1. In this case, it's RunPod type PyTorch 240. So grab that one, click Edit Template, and make sure you give yourself at least 200 gigabytes of container disk and volume disk. Set your overrides, and go ahead and deploy on demand. Once you've done that, give it a couple of minutes, and after a few moments, you'll see this connect button light up. Once it's done, click connect, and wait for this Jupyter Lab to turn ready. There we go, it's ready, and this will load you into the Jupyter Lab user interface. Now, there's a couple of steps that we need to do to get this up and running. The first thing that you need is the HiDReam GitHub. So that's linked down below. Go ahead and click code, copy that, come back to your Jupyter environment, open up the terminal, and type in git clone and paste in that GitHub that we copied. Press enter, and it will download the front end for you. Once that's done, click this little X up here and close that terminal. Open up this HiDReam folder and open a new terminal. If you go back to the GitHub and scroll down, there's a couple of instructions that we need to copy and paste. Start by grabbing this quick start over here. You can click this copy button over here. Head on over and paste it. It will paste both lines. That's fine. Go ahead and run it. Make sure that you're in the HiDReam folder. So you want to see that you've got this requirements.txt file, and you want to see that you're in workspaces/HiDReam. If you've done that, go ahead and press enter, and it will install various requirements and flash attention for you. Okay, once that's done, we have a few more things we need to install. Number one, type in pip install Hugging Face-CLI. If you get something like that, that means that you're fine. Then do pip install Gradio. Then pip install sentence piece. And finally, we need to attach our Hugging Face API key to the model. So go ahead and type in Hugging Face-CLI login. Before you click enter, we need to do a couple of things. Head on over to Hugging Face, and the first thing you want to do is go to the Meta Llama 3.18b instruct. You need to be logged in, and you need to accept their terms and conditions. Otherwise, this will not work. Once you've done that, go ahead and click up here on your profile, come down here to access tokens, and create a new token. Click on read. We want to give it read access. Give it a name. I call it RunPod. I've already got a RunPod 1, so I'll call this one RunPod 2. Do not share this with anyone, as it'll give people access to your Hugging Face. I'm sharing it here because by the time you see this video, I will have deleted this token. Copy it. Go back to your Jupyter instance and press enter. Then it'll ask you to enter your token. Press Command V on a Mac, Control V on a PC. You won't see anything appear. That's perfectly normal. It will be there. Press enter. Then it'll say add token as get credential. Type N and then enter. And if you successfully copied and pasted it, you will say here that login successful. The current active token is RunPod-2. Now, everything we've done up to this point, you have to do every time you run your RunPod instance. So you got to do all of those pip installs, and you need to reset up your Hugging Face CLI. Once I get the template up and running, you shouldn't need to. It'll all happen automatically, but until then, that's what you need to do. Okay? Once we've done that, we need to set ourselves up so that all of the necessary models are downloaded correctly. Go back to the HiDReam GitHub, and we're going to grab ourselves this line over here where it says python./inference -- model type full. Copy that, come back over to the Jupyter instance and drop that in and press enter. That will start the process of downloading and installing the full model, as well as download and set up Llama Instruct, which is the text encoder that the model uses. It's pretty quick, so it'll just take a couple of minutes. And that's it. Once you can see root at your username, workspace HiDReam, it has been successfully installed. Now, we're almost at the finish line. There's a couple of more things we need to do. You're going to click over here where it says Gradio demo. Scroll all the way down to where it says demo launch. In the brackets, you're going to type in share equals true with a capital T. You're going to press Command or Control S to save. Close it. And then you're going to type in Python space gradio_demo.py. Press enter. And there you have it, running on public URL. Go ahead and click it, and you can now run Gradio live on RunPod. Now, I'm going to finish up the video here because I think it's getting a little bit. I will release the Comfy UI installation on a separate video, so that'll be linked down in the description below. And for my Patreon subscribers, I will also be releasing a installer version of this Gradio that uses the quantized versions of the model so that you can run it on your own local computer. I think you'll need at least 12 gigs of VRAM. However, your mileage may vary, as this is very heavily quantized and it's all quite experimental. So if you want to get access to that, please do consider supporting me on Patreon. Your support there helps make these videos possible, along with the people who are using Kaiju Gen. Every once in a while, I also do try and send out some free credits to Patreon users, so keep an eye out for that as well. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please do like and subscribe. And if you do come by the Discord, please share the stuff that you're creating. We love to see it. I've been posting a couple of my things in the share your work section on the Discord. And keep an eye out for that Comfy UI video. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.